Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for everything you've done for us for this past week and the time, the little bit of rain that we've got, and just the clarity of living in South Texas County, and just bless us and keep us as a county and as a city, and just be with our citizens and help them to know their way, and just help us not to be like some of the counties that are back east where they don't have their conscience. And just be with us and keep us safe. Bless the people that work here for the county and for the city and for all the citizens. And we just give you praise and glory and honor in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. We do have a quorum. Do we have anyone that signed up? Of this, yes. Okay. But no one that signed up for, okay. All right. Good. Now? Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought you wanted, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I signed up for this part, and then I signed up for a couple of other items. Good morning, Judge Mills and Commissioners. My name's Pat Rousseau. I live here in Rockport. Commissioner-elect for Precinct 3. I just want to reflect on something that occurred during last week's Commissioners Court meeting. One of the items on the agenda was to consider the resignation of the county clerk, and the item right after it was to consider the appointment of a replacement, and those were both done. The thing that I would like to reflect upon is when Brian Olson resigned as county commissioner. I realize it's a different office, but he gave notice a few weeks or several weeks before he was leaving, and there was a month period where people could apply, be interviewed, and considered before the appointment. I know in other positions where a county official has resigned that there was a protocol for that appointment. It just seems like this had undue haste. I'm not speaking against the appointee. I hope that that appointee does well and the county moves forward and things are good. And if not, there'll be another election. I just want to stress that when I was running for office, I talked about accountability, building trust, and communicate openly. And those are things that the voters consider very important. And I wish the commissioners would reflect on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Under the consent agenda, we have two items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, and seconded. Commissioner Smith, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 3, accept and approve election administrator Michelle Carew's resignation. Michelle?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. What I wanted to say was I wanted to thank you all for allowing me to serve you, and to let you know that my resignation is not in effect until I'm done getting November's election ready. In my note to you guys, I put that my last day would be the 18th, and we haven't really settled on a last date yet. So I'll still be working for the county until November's ready. You guys have any questions for me?
Wait a minute. You're going to stay until November?
No, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be available to the county.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So,
But do you need an actual date
probably.
before you accept it? We accept it. I mean,
Yeah, you need to come up with a date, except you'll be working for us remotely even
Right.
after that date, right?
Right.
So,
We're working on the payroll, or just sort of informally available by phone to answer questions? I guess we need to figure out for payroll purposes when the resignation is formally effective.
That's something that we're still working on.
yeah.
So we can't accept it today.
No, we'll have to table it today.
Motion to table.
Motion made to table.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now we need to discuss, approve, disapprove, changing Kevin Stroud to a current temporary election coordinator who's being paid by the CARES Act to permanent employee effective in November or December 1st, right?
Correct, but I thought we were going to table this as well.
Move to table.
All right, that's a good idea.
Second.
Could I ask a question about this? Has the election committee,
Yes, we accepted Michelle's resignation Friday afternoon.
okay.
Who
that
did?
committee has
Oh,
recommended this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Bubba.
No,
You're saying
We just met and all they did was accept the resignation. There was no other discussions.
no other discussion at all.
just to clarify, you're saying the elections commission
The
did.
election committee has to do is her position, not any.
Right.
other position.
So
That's not her replacement, is it? Does it come up?
not yet.
So they don't have a replacement yet.
So the way that the election law states is that elections administrator is appointed and or fired by an elections commission, and the commission is made up of 5 members: the county judge, the county clerk, the tax assessor collector, and both party chairs. So we met on Friday. They accepted my resignation, and then they'll move forward with meeting again to set
For replacement.
Yeah.
exactly.
And we posted the position immediately that afternoon on
Okay.
the website that she.
I haven't received it yet to post, but I'm going to post it on the Texas Association of Elections Administrators website, which goes out to all the members across the state.
We accept the resignation without a date on it, Judge.
We're not.
We're not,
Wait a minute.
but the elections commission apparently can.
Oh, yes.
And what
The
We
re-
accepted
That's
it.
just a technicality. That's so it opens up the possibility for you guys to go ahead and post a job and
We couldn't
possibly
post
hire
it
someone
until
to
she-
cross training or whatever needs to happen.
So the elections commission has accepted your resignation, but we can't post the position yet because we haven't accepted
That's
your
not what I
resignation?
said. I said the elections commission, it was a technicality so that you can post it and move forward with finding a replacement.
We can post it now even though we haven't accepted your resignation?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's pending. It's a pending
It's-
resignation. so.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and post right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You vote on the table.
Both of them. Motion made on and seconded on the second one to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove 2021 animal control fees, increasing the adoption fee by $5 to offset spay and neuter costs. You have any questions for,
Is that enough?
So
Mike?
nobody at home can hear you unless you're on the mic.
I feel it's just a better number, and our adoptions last year were 80. Right now, we're sitting at 88. So we have an increase,
Mhm.
and with adoptions, increased income in our county. Average animal, they say, is 20,000 over the year. So it's a positive. We're having a hard time with spay and neuters, but it's all part of
What is the current
thing.
adoption fee now?
It's 45.
So this would make it 50.
Yeah, and that's with the national average is the low, on the very lowest end is 50. So it just put us in there.
And we only do 88 of them this year so far.
This year so far, yes, but that's more than 80 last year total, and we still
What are
have
the
a
fees? What are the
quarter.
fees to spay and neuter?
the fees to spay and neuter, they range differently with each vet. I can try to get in the cattery, but they have to be under 30 pounds.
What is our normal amount that we pay?
It's around $130 for a cat, about $200 for a dog.
Really?
Mhm. But it's not an option if you adopt out of our facility.
You're concerned if you charge too much, you just will
I will.
crash adoptions?
Yes,
It's got to
And
be
I-
subsidized somewhat or you just can't get them adopted.
right. And that puts more strain on another chance that already does a tremendous job. And cattails as well on moving cats.
All right, Judge, I'd make a motion to approve.
motion made?
Second.
Second, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mulbach. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, final plat, South Wind Harbor subdivision development, Cape Valero Drive. Pat, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Cat? All right. Talk to
This
us.
plat, the preliminary, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The South
I
Winds
did.
Harbor concept plan was approved back in September. The infrastructure went forward and is near completion. We verified with the city that the infrastructure is in place according to their codes. And so this final plat will finalize the subdivision and allow them to begin with sales.
So there's no reason for them to have to post any kind of bond?
Correct.
Thank you. Make a motion to
Yes, sir.
approve, Judge.
Motion made, and second, Commissioner Castleline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign an interlocal agreement with the United States Marshal Services for detention service. The agreement is for the housing, safety keeping, and subsistence of federal detainees as per diem rate of $76 a day and a guard transportation hourly rate of $19.
Move to approve.
Motion made.
Second.
Second, I would make a comment. Next time we do this, we need to keep a copy.
Yeah.
And I have a question. I remember that you told us, Sheriff Mills, how much this saved the county or added to revenues. And all I can remember now is that it was several $100,000. Can you remind me of the exact amount or close to it?
Commissioner Smith had those figures that day. We did receive 21 new beds Friday morning, but most of that is a result of probably having a housing facility under Ross County. And once we get through our intake process, it's going to be on that promise. More will be done as well.
But we had an estimate for next year. It was it 300,000 or 400,000? Am I remembering? Okay.
It was $12 a day per head. I think the budget figure is 85 or 90. All built in the budget, I think.
I think you went to $76, wasn't the rate $63?
Yep.
63 was what it was.
So that's $1,170 a day times 30 days, Commissioner.
How many
Times-
days do you anticipate having for this year?
Oh, we have. Inmates, everything, we've never.
Yeah.
All the beds on any days of that office. But the population will vary, run anywhere from mid-60s up to 110, 113. It depends on court activity and activity among the federal marshals and the orders and everywhere else. But with COVID and everybody's activity being redirected and slowed down, both in the courts and on the streets, those numbers and movement of prisoners has ceased. Last Friday was the first significant movement we've seen of prisoners anywhere in this region. I don't think it was because of a problem that was on the news a few weeks ago. COVID in one of the facilities, and we had shown, I think, through our numbers that we have a pretty good game plan in place. Not to say it's foolproof, but we've stayed ahead of the curve.
Do you have prisoners there that should have already gone to TDC?
No, sir, none of these are for TDC.
No, I mean, not the federal ones, but I mean ours, since they haven't been accepted. Do we have an inventory of them?
Last report I saw, we had 9 people that were considered what we call paper ready and ready for change, slang term. We had been given dates to fix some of it, and last week, because of the storm and some of the resurgence in areas of COVID, TDCJ did back off of those dates a little bit. We have not seen new dates. For security reasons, we're not given a heads up. We usually get a deal 3 days before, when and where to use the bus and making the pickup. So it's always a moving target, but we're not, the people that we have currently right now incarcerated that are paper ready, we don't have any that have been there an excessive amount of time, but I would consider most of them in a 45 to 55 day range at the time, which while state law says anything over 45, they should reimburse us for.
They never do.
You know, our effort before, they drove it down, you got down to where we were getting on paper ready in 8 to 10 days. You know, sometimes the delays on our end as well, trying to get the paperwork in and get them qualified. But we've gotten where we were moving them pretty quickly, and I anticipate those will pick up, lose more amount of time as well, because they realize roll them out right now than we're having. And
I remember several years ago, we were having a disagreement with the feds on what constituted a day. When was the start and when was the cutoff on the charging for the day? What is that now?
the disagreement we had was with the city and the contract, because a lot of times the city officer would bring somebody in at 7 or 8 in the evening, and under the old policy, they were being charged a day for anybody that entered the facility before midnight. Well, you come in at 8 o'clock at night, and then somebody shows up at 3 or 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, pays your bond, and you get out. The contract at the time was showing that they would sometimes get till 2 days. And so that was all clarified with some timeframes that were established. Better, I think, a day or one other day,
Okay.
balance that out. But with the feds, they're usually in the facility by 5 or 6 in the evening, and if they're taken out, it'll be after court, the next, when they're on the court. Very rarely, but sometimes we do get an order to release somebody without them coming back on the court, but usually they make a court appearance and then release. But with Zoom now, that's occurring in the facility, both locations, because we, 2 years ago, took up the task of delivering both in the courthouse in Corpus and in Victoria. So we're running both ways. Some days we go both ways, most of the times it's usually just one direction.
Okay.
But Zoom has been online anymore.
Good deal.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorize county judge to sign a contract with Waypoint Business Solutions to upgrade the county's virtual server inventory environment and perform the work detailed and described in response to the county's 2020 RFP for hypervisory infrastructure and mitigation.
Make a motion to approve, Judge.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Approve, disapprove order 015-2020, ordering a child safety fee of $1.50 to be imposed upon Transportation Code Section 502-403 to local vehicle registration to be used for the provisions of child safety measures in Aransas County effective January 1, 2021.
Is it something we already have?
No, this is new. And I mean, it's for child safety, so what the heck?
Where's it been paid from?
We didn't have it before.
No, but we've been doing the child safety, haven't we?
It's been coming out of the sheriff's budget. I think the effect of this is to add about $39,000 a year to defray already existing sheriff expenses. The change is, instead of doing it as a part of an ad valorem tax, or part of our regular budget, we're adding some income from the motor vehicle registration fee
That's true.
for the first time.
That's true.
I looked up, when I first saw this, didn't have the order in front of me, the proposed order. From the agenda item, it just referred to the code section. And I was concerned because the code section has some very broad language about how you should start off spending it on child safety, but if you don't want to spend it there, you can sort of spend it anywhere. But as I understand the order, it does limit us to spending it on,
Child safety.
well, it's specifically crossing guard and traffic assistance at Live Oak Elementary. And with that limitation on it, and with the understanding that it would have to come back to the commissioner's court if we wanted to broaden it and just start spending it on anything that seemed to have to do with, children, I had some concerns about it at first. But if it's only $39,000 and it's limited to that program, and what it does is help the sheriff's department in its struggle with its budget, I have no problem with it.
Make the motion.
I move to approve the order.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Figure if I sit there in front, you'll remember me better,
Yeah,
but maybe
well,
not.
okay.
You gotta wait before we vote.
Like this.
That's what I do when I want to speak before we vote.
You're
Well-
highlighted right there too, so I'll try.
And some of the information that the sheriff and the commissioner have given answered some of the questions I had. But I just want to clarify then. So this new fee will be used in the capacity of providing a crossing guard and other
traffic assistance at Live Oak Elementary.
That's a major issue.
That's
Oh, I know.
that's what the order reads.
Been to Live Oak many times.
I can give you,
And if it were going to be changed from that usage, then that would be brought to court?
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sheriff, can I ask a question? Since she brought that up, are you going to put a crossing guard?
No.
Have you ever had a crossing guard?
Yes, sir. When we start out there at the start of school.
Sheriff
we
Mills,
call-
they have a hard time hearing at home if you don't speak to the mic. We can hear you.
Every year when we start out there, Commissioner, we end up with 5 and 6 officers at the first of the year, placed all the way back to Market because the traffic will back up the bypass. But we have officers that do stop the traffic because people do still park out on the edge of that.
I realize
Median.
that's not a crossing guard. In my recollection, I don't know that you've ever had a crossing guard, and it sounds to me like in this order that maybe you're going to have to put a crossing guard. So maybe you need to clarify that. I just didn't want you to get in trouble for not having one because.
I think it just says it's available.
We have officers dedicated in a vest that are stopping traffic for parents and children to cross the street in the crosswalk. I don't know.
Sounds like a crossing guard.
To me, yes, we do provide that out there. We're not just ushering traffic in and out of the parking lot, where we're trying to keep it moving there with the assistance of the school personnel. They're opening doors and getting the kids out, but our focus is on trying to keep the traffic flowing and moving. But we do, at the same time, realize that people are going to stop out in that median and they need assistance crossing the street. And if we don't stop it and then start it again, then they'll wait on somebody 50 feet away, backing it up in the lot. So we do provide.
I just wanted you to clarify that because
Okay.
I knew you patrol it heavily, but
No, there's
realize you
at
actually
2
did.
locations, there's officers that, then Chief Zapata in the afternoons has gone out there and usually mans it by himself because pickup is on a staggered deal and they're not parking and taking the kids in as they do in the morning. So we don't have the traffic flow issue in the afternoon that we incur in the mornings.
All right, motion was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. There you go. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorize county judge to sign an engineering services agreement with Mont McDonald for flood and drainage activities specified and approved under Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, awarded to the county through GLO contract number 20-065-098-C270, covering drainage sustained from Hurricane Harvey.
I have a question about this one. I put together from the agenda item and the background papers that this must be the 37 million in GLO grants that were related to roads and drainage.
Yes, ma'am.
The contract itself is for about $4.6 million in fees, and there's a list of the projects. There were 7 or 8.
I believe we
So
have
I just
have
want to
a
make sure I
motion
was,
in a second before we can discuss.
move to approve.
Motion made,
I'll second.
second. All right, sorry.
just confirming background. Sounds like I've got it right.
Any other discussion?
I sat in on a meeting with the engineer and David a couple of days ago, and they seem to be pretty on top of it and willing to work with us on if we need any kind of changes or anything. They
Any
seem to
other
be a
discussion?
pretty good guy that they have in charge of it.
I have a question for David. I know there was you don't need to, well, you can if you want to. There was a point in time where you wanted to change one of the projects. How has that worked out for you?
It's still a work in progress.
Now we do need you at the mic.
We're going to
That's
try
on the
to
Linden.
Yeah, we're going to try to modify the project. It's a process that will take, I'm told, at least 6 months, and the result could be we lose the project, but we'll see.
This is an issue with GLO, though, not with Mont McDonald.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Did we vote on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, make sure. Report on recalculation of 2020 non-new revenue voter approval and debt to tax rate. Chief Appraiser, Ms. Cox. Come on up.
Y'all are making me work. I have submitted recalculations based on updated debt information I received from the county auditor and on the opinion of Manuel Mendez, who is an attorney for Bickerstaff, Heath, Delgado, Acosta. And it required a recalculation of the 2020 debt tax rate, which also changes the calculations of the voter approval rate. So that's what I'm here to report today. I provided you a menu and I just added a column in front of what I reported a couple of weeks ago in court. And it's called the 2020 recalculated rates. And the no new revenue rate does not change. It remains for the general fund 0.360785, but because the debt rate was reduced, it just transfers that money over to the M&O rate. So your no new revenue rate stays the same all across the board. Your voter approval rate, total funds reduced from 0.464518 to 0.464237. And it reduced the general fund ad valorem debt INS rate by 0.00028. The budget with the recalculated rates for ad valorem M&O, it increased by $9,545 with the switch from the debt INS budget part. That is provided on the second page in with the yellow. I provided a new chart, recalculation of the 2020 no new revenue rate and the recalculation of the voter approval rate, and broke it down for y'all. Had to recertify the amount that I participate in anticipating next year in the debt collections, because if the debt levy is going to be less because the certificate of obligation reduced, then I knew that I wouldn't collect that money. So the next page is just a recalculation of that. And then the last section is totally the pages put out by the comptroller that I use in calculating those rates.
I found this so difficult to understand last week that I spent a lot of time talking to Ms. Cox and also to Bob Henderson, our financial advisor. And this was the 30,000 foot view that I got. Because we are now waiting for an election to confirm the fact that, confirm whether we will in fact issue a bond, we're no longer free to put a debt tax component in our overall tax rate today, or in fact at any time before our deadline runs, which is before the election. At the same time, we hope that the bond will pass and that we will be issuing a bond, and it has to go out to market and you have to show revenues that'll repay it. But we can achieve the same result, at least to cover enough payments for the first year by, as you mentioned, changing a debt tax rate to an M&O rate. It's still there in the budget. So if we are successful in the election and the bond passes, we'll be free to go to market in January. We'll have enough funds in the right places, according to the financial advisors and legal advisors, to cover the first semi-annual payment, which will presumably be due in August. And then next year, about this time, we'll be talking about putting a debt tax rate into place. But this covers us whether or not the bond passes. If the bond doesn't pass, we will move forward with what we otherwise were going to do, which is move funds around in reserve funds and so forth. It's just this different way to achieve the same result. It doesn't have any effect on the tax rate that we need to propose to the public, but it does require us to republish a notice, which is going to put us off a couple of weeks, but still within our deadline.
Right. I requested recalculation, and that was confirmed by an attorney that the Texas State Comptroller has its online truth in taxation. guidelines, and it says taxing units other than school districts, water districts, and small taxing units must adopt the published debt rate. And because of the report that we had done several weeks ago, that notice had already been published. And based on that, that was the legal advice that they weren't aware of any statutory provisions that expressly or by implication authorize the county to adopt a tax rate different than that proposed published rate. So that's the reason for the recalculation, the reposting that's required. And so what we have already done, we started from scratch today.
So it's financially, it should not matter to voters. They're being exposed to the same tax, so to speak, but it changes numbers that, will turn out to be moot, but nevertheless, legally, you have to republish. For instance, if it changes the voter approval rate, you have to republish, even though we're nowhere near the voter approval rate, and that won't matter. But still, to be safe and compliant with the statute, we just have to republish, and that's all there is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's my report.
Okay.
You're gonna miss all this, Jared.
Okay. Now, do we have a
That's just a report.
That's a report.
No, number 12.
possible act? Okay. Discuss, approve, disapprove, scheduling or public hearing?
Number 12.
No, 12.
Oh, sorry. Discussion and possible action by record vote, proposed 2020 tax rate.
So now we need to do this September 14th instead of doing it today as we had hoped we could.
Today you are proposing, you're going
Right.
to forget what we already proposed, and today we're going to propose and start over. So what I need from the commissioners is a proposal to adopt a certain rate to fund the budget.
And that's the 0.433543 number.
I believe so.
That's what our budget is based on, is what you proposed last time. It's a no new revenue rate. Yes, ma'am.
So you need a motion to propose 0.433543 as our proposed tax rate for the upcoming year.
Yes, I do. And I provided the breakdown of that, so that could go in the minutes. So it goes on record that we are proposing a different debt rate and M&O rate.
So moved.
The NO rate's going up by less than 1/10 of a cent. That rate's going down by the same amount.
Yeah.
Do you have the exact wording that you need?
I do. And it's on every one of y'all's
Yeah, it's right here.
desk.
Really?
Is it, where is it? It's in one of these
It's right
pages?
here.
Big print.
Right here. Motion to,
Okay, so in other words, we should read out the motion to approve with including all of the detail. I move that we propose the recalculated no new revenue tax rate 0.433543 itemized as ad valorem tax M&O 0.314028, ad valorem debt INS 0.046757, road and bridge / flood control M&O 0.061938, and flood control debt INS 0.01082. Those four numbers add up to 0.433543.
second.
Motion made and seconded from Mr. Cheney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, scheduling and public hearing for proposed 2020 tax rate. That'd be the,
Judge, that date is not necessary because y'all did stay with the no new revenue rate. So we do not have to have a public hearing on the rate.
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
All right.
But we do need a meeting at which we adopt the proposed rate.
Right.
Mhm.
That'd be the 14th.
So
Right.
September 14th will be, do we have a separate motion for
It has
that?
to be a regular.
It's item number 14 on the agenda.
Discuss, approve, disapprove time, date, and adopt the 2021 budget 2020 tax rate. That'd be our regular meeting on September 14th. Right?
Yes.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Motion made, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
So I will post in the pilot, a new notice of meeting to vote on the tax rate. It should be published on September 5th, thereby giving the 7 days for, before the 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Discuss, approve, disapprove budget line item transfers.
Did we also set a date for approving the budget? Is that the same date?
Same day.
Yes.
Same date.
Has to be the regular meeting.
Right.
Budget line item transfer, have none?
We have none.
Motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove accounts payable, payroll, and payroll liabilities.
There are no accounts payables, but there is a payroll that needs to be approved.
Move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Any fee reports?
No, sir.
Now's the time for any department head and elected officials to bring to attention of the Commissioners Court anything on their mind. Or not on their mind. Okay. Nothing being said,
Move to adjourn?
motion made,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.